Hey, good morning, Justice Seekers. Um, Happy Monday to you. Wow, what a weekend. So I did do two lives over the weekend, and I feel like I'm addicted to this process. It just wasn't enough. So I might do like a 3 hour today. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I try to do my shows in smaller increments just so that they're not so overwhelming. So the last few have been a lot longer. My very first one was 50 minutes, and then I started kind of cutting them back. My third one was 15 minutes, and that sucker's gotten close to 19,000 views, which is crazy. I mean, I don't know why that one kind of went viral, but I appreciate it. It's very, very cool. So, with some success, which I'm ever so grateful for. And oh, hey, good morning, Charles, Leg and Cubes. Good morning from Winnipeg. Cool. So, I had a mile marker in my YouTube career, which is less than 2 months. And yesterday in my feed, it showed up that somebody on the other side of the pond made a video about me. And the first 15 minutes of it was just me talking to the camera. And then she was talking to the camera, and I watched it for a few minutes trying to figure out what her angle was. And, I'm just not going to worry about it. With creating anything, with being an artist, I learned this at a very young age. We all have heard the old adage that everybody's a critic, and it's really true. And also, I think I said it in one of my videos last week. Imitation is the highest compliment. So if somebody's like stealing your work, um, to some point there's copyright infringement, there's plagiarism, um, but really it's just a matter of creativity. And if somebody likes my ideas and wants to run with it, my band as in cubes. Oh, cool. Cool, cool. Thanks, Charles. Um, that's a huge compliment, especially coming from the other side of the pond. I'm like, wow, why do you even care what I'm saying or thinking? But, obviously there's going to be critics. It goes with the territory. Oh, look, morning. I shouted you out in my very first vid last night. Oh, cool, Butterfly. Put the name of your channel up, please, please. And so really that's my point is it's like, we're not all gonna agree on things, and it's, hey, Codswalloped. And it's fine. I mean, let me tell you one of my little cliches that I made up because I love this and I use it all the time. I think I made it up like 20 years ago at least. Okay. I remember a neighbor put a note in my mailbox saying that he didn't appreciate our lack of landscape. We were renting. This was when we had a brand new baby and, a lot of issues going on. And my only thought was, dude, if that's your biggest problem, you're one lucky son of a bitch. Like, get a life, you know? So I like to say that about a lot of things. Like, if I make videos that you don't like and it's so important to you to make a video about it, if that's your biggest problem, you're one lucky son of a bitch. Now, I try to be very polite and careful, especially with victims. And I consider family members of a victim victims as well. So I try to be very thoughtful. However, I also am not going to be scared to ask the tough questions. So I think there's a lot of tough questions in the case of Kylie Rodney. So I want to get right into it. I have so much content in my brain and I can't keep up. And if other people are having trouble coming up with content and they need to borrow a little bit of mine, to some extent, that's fine. Please be polite, don't be rude, or I will ask you to take it down. And so I found out about the copyright infringement. If you ask somebody to take something down and they don't, and this was 15 minutes of my content with no anything, but I'm not even going to say the person's name because I don't want to give the person any attention. Um, I think she was jealous, basically. She's had a channel a heck of a lot longer, nowhere near the subs, nowhere near the views. So, I really didn't expect to hit the ground running like this, and I attribute it to you guys. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I can't express the love that I feel, right? I mean, I would hear other creators talk like that and I'd be like, that's just goofy. What are they talking about? But it's true. I mean, you really feel this sense of community. So, um, I'm just super grateful. I'm really grateful for all that I have, and I try not to focus on the problems because there's always going to be problems, right? You can make something up if you don't have something. So, my biggest problem with the Kylie Rodney case right now is, and I want to crowdsource with this, okay? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not psychic and I'm not a genius. I try to pay attention and I try to communicate. And I feel like paying attention and communicating creates this whole synergistic um, process, especially with YouTube. And YouTube is quite the medium. I had no idea what I was missing out on. I have some info on Capricorn's court stuff. Can I email it to you? Yes, please. That's awesome. Thank you. My email address is justice, ATOOZ at gmail.com. But I do have to let people know I'm not responsive to emails. I'm really overwhelmed right now in a good way with a lot of emails and a lot of comments on my videos. And I try to look at all those comments because they're loaded with intelligence and information. So I so much appreciate you guys sharing and crowdsourcing with me. So really, this is your channel. It's not my channel. I mean, I'm the one behind the camera, and I'm really happy that I got this new computer and that I'm figuring out how to use it. And I just really try to focus on things to be grateful for. So let me get back to the point of Kylie Rodney, and that's what we're all coming here for. This case is loaded with crap. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's kind of my goal, is to not sugarcoat things. Loaded with crap. So we know that she was found by Adventures with Purpose on August 21st. And if you look at the video from when they are down there discovering her, Nick Wren with his camera, his video camera, and he's scuba diving, and you look at the passenger side window and the part of the window frame, and remember it's upside down, part of the window frame that's closer to the rear view mirror is wiped clean halfway, exactly halfway. And then there's a little bit of algae on the rest of it. It's pretty wild. If you haven't noticed it, other people have talked about it. I didn't notice that myself. If you haven't noticed it, go back and look. And there's videos about that specifically. I'm trying to remember the first person that I saw with that, because I do like to give shout outs to people that, I mean, it was pretty brilliant. The other thing that they talked about, and maybe one of you guys will remember who it was, because it was a channel I'm not that familiar with, but she's really, really good. All of the content of the vehicle from Kylie's CRV, the cell phone charger, the Truly bottle, the laptop, a hairbrush, all of these things were perfectly lined up, perpendicular and parallel. Everything was at right angles. It's crazy. It's obvious that somebody placed those things there right up next to the window. They turned the can so that you could read Truly from, far away, and it's all right there, and they obviously, like, rubbed some stuff off of the top of the window frame that's on the floor of the lake. Um, there's a lot of speculation of who did that, who was out there diving, who was out there on a kayak. I'm just gonna say the Catfish crew. Um, and my point is, I think that we all need to focus on what people were doing on August 17th and August 18th. It's my opinion, and everything I say here is my opinion only. It's purely for the sake of speculation and conversation and hopefully educational and entertainment, right? It's my opinion that somebody placed those things there very intentionally, and that when they rubbed off the algae, they didn't realize they rubbed off the algae. Otherwise, they probably would have rubbed it all the way across so that you wouldn't be able to tell the drastic difference. These are not doctored videos, folks. Drastic difference of shiny halfway, and then the part that's closer to the back seat is just a little bit of algae, not much. So I'm no algae expert, but I'm going to say it looks like about 2 or 3 days worth of algae, basically. That's my opinion. And I think a lot of people have been talking ever since that car was pulled out of the water that it was way too clean and shiny to have been in that water for a couple of weeks. It's just an opinion. It could be inaccurate, right? So anyway, back to my point, which is what were people doing, especially the Catfish crew, on the 17th and the 18th? The 17th was the day that a phone call came into the local Placer County Sheriff's Office about a vehicle that looked like Kylie's that was parked near the convenience store that the CCTV still shot was from on August 5th, where she's wearing the green Dickies and the black spaghetti strapped bodysuit and the belt. Zoinks! I love that. So yes. Oh, highly unlikely. You haven't missed much yet. I just got started. So my point is what was happening on the 17th and the 18th. I don't know that that was Kylie's vehicle that the phone call was made to law enforcement about, but you can find the receipts for that on the internet really easily. I mean, I've gone directly to that site myself and looked at the same thing. But Living Lake Time or Lake Time Living, I think it's Living Lake Time. He's got a bunch of short videos about August 17th and about the 911 call, and that the vehicle looked like Kylie's. It was, half a block away from that convenience store, and it was 2 a.m. And the dispatch says in the recording, S1S6 says to wait until 0700 hours 1S2. So 1S6 and 1S2, those are specific officers or sergeants or captains or whatever, deputies, because it's the sheriff's office. Those are specific employees. 1S6 says wait 5 hours for 1S2. So very likely 1S2 is the second in charge. Very likely. I'm not saying that it is. That's just the way departments operate. But why to wait 5 hours to even go look at this vehicle that's a potential match to the vehicle that you've been looking for almost 2 weeks? It's pretty weird, isn't it? God, these people. Kiki Ray, where did you hear this from? I learned there are about 400 people with access to the fire cams, and they have 4,000 access. Not that crap we were seeing as they can zoom and change the position of the camps. Those fire cams, I've said it again and again, to me, they're just a huge distraction. And that might sound weird to somebody who hasn't seen some of my other tapes, but it doesn't prove anything or disprove anything, except what it does prove, a couple of things, is that if those fire cams are accurate and nobody thought of them for even a minute after the situation started of the missing person, none of these first responders, firefighters, search and rescue crews, police, sheriff, FBI, Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, none of them thought, look at the fire cam. Okay, so you guys are all complete idiots. All right, that's your story and you're sticking to it. Then we got to go with that, right? So anyway, my point is that they knew those fire cams were there. They knew or should have known. Absolutely no doubt about it. So if they knew that they were there and saw the videotape and saw that the car went in that night, then they are all covering it up, right? I'm not going to get distracted with going into that whole thing. The other alternative is that they were so stupid they couldn't find it even though they had the tape. Or wait, no, maybe they didn't know that they had the tape. They forgot that they had the fire cams. All 160 professionals, none of them thought, I wonder if there's a videotape somewhere. on the roads, on a Tesla, on a fire cam. I mean, fucking A, people. This is crazy. This whole case is fucking out of control. I don't like to drop the F-bomb, but I will when I have to. I'm not Lewis Black, but in case you're a fan, that's who I'm imitating. God dang, this is just so stupid. They're absolutely desperately seeking, they're grasping at straws. The only straw they have left is that Nick, the AAA dude, roadside assistance dude, is either incorrect or lying. Okay, if he's incorrect or lying, we would have heard about that a long time ago. There's videotape footage of his dash cam that clearly shows a boy and a girl at Kylie's car, in my opinion. I mean, I haven't seen the tape, but we all know that he's not going to have gotten her car confused with somebody else's. If he's a roadside assistance guy, he's looking for freaking license plate, not just a silver SUV. California has millions of silver SUVs. I'm sure of it. Come on. And yeah, millions of blonde girls and millions of skinny dudes with baseball caps with a flat bill that have the whatever San Francisco team on the cap. You know, these people aren't stupid. It doesn't matter that Nick Wren, it was his first dive. He's an experienced, seasoned adult. He knows shit, okay? And same with Doug, and same with Nick, the roadside assistance guy. So the whole thing about discrediting AWP, which is their angle, that's the only angle they have left, is to say that these guys are full of shit. And they're not. If they were, they would have proven it to us a long freaking time ago, people. Sometimes the F-bomb is all you can say to this crazy case. Love you. Well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to stay focused here because there's just so many things I want to talk about. So we need to look at who was doing what on the 17th and the 18th. Those, to me, are the most significant dates. So if that vehicle was seen on the 17th, if it was that vehicle, I don't know that we have the license plate from that 911 call with one S6 stating to wait 5 hours before going to look at it, for one S2 to then go look at it 5 hours after the call comes in. It's not the way first responders work. You get a call, you go check it out, unless it's like a scheduled welfare check. Why would they be doing a scheduled welfare check on a vehicle that they're desperately seeking? No, not happening. How did SF watermark his photo of fire cam? It was not his. So yeah, I mean, those videos, whatever. If they want to say they're real, then they're the stupidest MFs out there. They're desperate. They're trying to protect some of these kids. I don't know exactly who did what, but you know what they did. And your primary people of interest are suspects. They're suspects in, at the very least, an accidental death, at the very least. And at the very worst, a premeditated murder. So it's somewhere in there. We have accidental death, which I just happened to be looking this up a minute ago. In my state of Ohio, an accidental death in a motor vehicle accident is about 11 years prison sentence. And if you have a couple of felons on your record, it can be up to 20 years, especially if you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Which gets me to one of my points, and I'm going to try to be linear so I'm not jumping all around. The toxicology report that says that there's, what is it, 0.088 of ethanol in Kylie's system. And there was a little bit of possibly, well, some THC and some type of cocaine, I believe, is what the tox screen said. And remember, they did not test for the date rape drug, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's incompetence right there. That's a cover up right there. But when police are dealing with any subject, dead or alive, if they can say or think, or it's a fact that this person is drunk or on drugs, it completely discounts that individual. It dehumanizes them. What they're saying is that this person is a douchebag and they basically killed themselves. And I'm not saying people that use drugs and alcohol are douchebags. I'm telling you, I know that that's how law enforcement works. So if they are dealing with somebody where they're in the wrong, they will often claim that they could smell drugs or alcohol, like that they could smell marijuana or smell alcohol, even if they don't. Because if they say that they suspected it, they're the authority. Their thoughts and ideas and words are taken as fact. The subjects are taken as bullshit, especially if your professional, your law enforcement professional says, well, I thought I smelled marijuana. I thought I smelled alcohol and this person was driving. So therefore, so you know where I'm going with that. Basically, they're trying to say she cray. She cray. She's a stupid teenager. She's blonde. She's female. She's all that. What does she think she knows how to drive? God. Ah, people. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall. So something that's been bothering me that I haven't spoken about, I don't think at all, is the photograph of somebody that looks like Kylie with her eyes closed in the back seat of a car, it looks like, with two pretty smiling girls, and she looks passed out, but she's like propped up. And then that photograph came out into the public arena of, oh, here's a picture of the party, but that's not Kylie. And at first I thought, yeah, that's not Kylie. It kind of resembles her, but no reason to think that it is. And then people started to say, I think that that is Kylie. And I think that she's unconscious and that she's propped up. And I thought, well, that's a little crazy, or a lot crazy. So as time has progressed, people have spoken about that photograph as a girl named Laurel, who may or may not exist. I don't know. That the person who resembles Kylie is actually named Laura. The gaslighting. Yeah. Oh my God. It's like that movie about the dead guy they try to make seem alive. Bill Murray. Yeah. Weekend at Bernie's. I've seen that movie mentioned in some videos. So yes. And that photograph is, I think, parallel to the photograph of Kylie in the flannel shirt, asleep or sleeping is the phrase that they have, like in quotes on that photograph when they circulated it. And it's weird. And there's like a white thing around her neck. And both of these photographs, it looks like there's some kind of scar right here. And I'm not going to get into it, but those photographs are sus, in my opinion. Better be careful. She wrote up an article naming church. Up church. Yeah, didn't report have her height as 5'5" instead of 5'7". Yeah. The whole autopsy is just bizarre. And Dr. Dre Latina that broke it down to the simplest bottom line is that even with teeny tiny lungs, the size of a baby, that are 100 and 110 grams each, those two lungs should be at least 500 grams each if she was in water for 2 weeks. No doubt about it. That pair of tiny lungs should weigh at least 1,000 grams if she was in water for 2 weeks. Also, there should have been like the silt and all that, the dirt and other things. Anyway, so the photograph of Laurel and the photograph of Kylie sleeping, those could be really disgusting photos of Kylie injured or even past injured and expired. I've said it before in my videos and I'll say it again because for anybody who doesn't know, the way teenagers are these days, if you want street cred and you do something sick, you have to post it. You have to take photographs, you have to take video, and you have to show it off. It's just how they roll. I'm not saying that that's what these kids did. I'm saying that that's the thing. Um, creepy as fuck, right? Mm. And her tattoo moved. Yes, it did. It slid down from her ribs to her hip, which I actually think might be possible with skin slippage. And if it was kind of low on her ribs and high on her hip, but the loss of 15 pounds of body weight, I don't, again, if, she'd be waterlogged. She'd be weighing more. And the size of all of her organs, so tiny. I went over that in one of my videos last week. And the fact that the left lung was heavier than her right lung, which, unless you're born with a birth defect and your heart is like in the middle or the other side or something else, our left lung only has 2 chambers. Our right lung has 3 chambers. The right lung is always heavier because the left lung has to make room for the heart. Okay. So in her autopsy report, they said left lung was 110, right lung was 100. And I went over this before, but average is going to be more like 500. So about 1,000 grams for a pair of adult lungs. A tiny baby less than a year old is going to have lungs that size. It's not impossible that she has abnormally teeny tiny lungs, but what is impossible is for them to have not absorbed water in being submerged in water for 2 weeks. So that goes back to her not being in the water for 2 weeks, which would explain why they didn't see her in there for 2 weeks when they were searching endlessly, you know, searching and searching and searching and searching some more. Anyway, what a freaking mess. Um, so I don't think I mentioned the true crime channel Oxygen True Crime, that TV show called Accident, Suicide, or Murder. I mentioned that in one of my more recent videos, so I wanted to clarify what that is. I've never seen it. I've heard good things about it. I might have seen it once, but the idea of any death, that's how law enforcement has to approach any unattended death, is treated as a crime scene and a homicide until it's ruled out and proven otherwise. That's just the way it has to be. Because once you let the genie out of the bottle, you can't get it back in. So you can't process it as an accident or a suicide and then say, oh, wait a second, we have footprints here of another person. So let's put homicide on the table too. You can't do that. You have to start with murder, and then maybe it was somebody unalived themselves. Maybe it was an accidental situation. But anyway, those are the things you rule out. Is this an accident? Is this a suicide? Is this a homicide? Um, and I think it's really obvious that some kids with very connected parents and a lot of money are being so well protected that they don't care if 50 FBI agents' careers are ruined over this. That's the way I see it. And if you don't play along, your career is going to be ruined. But if you do play along, it might get ruined too, because you got all these damn internet sleuths out there. I'm not saying that the internet sleuths are going to solve this case, but it's been done before. It was done with Steubenville in Ohio, a sexual assault case. Look it up. It was dead in the water for 2 years, and then the internet sleuths got a hold of it, and the rest is history. Um, and then you got Gabby Petito, right? Gabby was missing and probably would have been missing for all of eternity, and her family would have never had any answers. It would have just been a missing persons case. We need a Discord. Yeah. I've been real shy about going to those other platforms just because this platform reaches a lot of people. And, I'm not saying that we don't need Discord. It sounds like a good thing. Have to start with murder, man. I learn a lot here, Jazz, new nickname for Justice A to Z. Man, you're rocking it with great points today. I'm telling you, this person stealing my content just got me. And then I was just like, you know what? Just let it go. I've dealt with criticism because I have always been an artistic person. I've always been a creative person. And most people appreciate that. Most people are very complimentary about that. But you're always going to get people coming after you, even if it's something like jewelry or clothing or music. I mean, people love to be critics. And anytime you do anything, you lift a finger, you become a target. Okay. Because you've all lifted a finger, right? I mean, and all you can do is take it as a compliment. I mean, seriously, because it is upsetting. And, I've heard other much larger creators talk about it, like Ryan Upchurch and Zav. And I thought of some things that Zav said, which is just you just ignore it. You can't watch it. It's for me, the thing that concerned me the most about watching it was a waste of my time. Like I don't have enough time to watch all the things I want to watch and to make all the content that I want to create. And I really enjoy that process of watching content that I appreciate and then making my own content. And we're all feeding off of each other. It's a wonderful process. F them, jealous, right? And yeah. Oh, I was in Steubenville protesting. Pray for rock and roll. Thank you. Pray for rock and roll. That's awesome. So I'm in Ohio. Steubenville is in Ohio, and I had not heard about that until after people were prosecuted finally. But Ohio is also where that douchebag that raped the girl at Stanford University got sent back to when he was slapped on the wrist and released from prison early. I'm not going to say his name because he's just a sick scum, but a lot of people went to his parents' house and protested in the street in front of their house the night that he came home. And I thought it was a little wild. I thought, whoa, these people are extremely outspoken. And how do they make time for that? And then I was like, and I really appreciate that they did that because, yeah, I want that kid to know that he's not welcome. He's not welcome in the free world. He belongs in prison. He only got cut loose because of his rich ass parents and being connected and being a Stanford student and being a star athlete. And that poor girl that had to go through that, and thank God for the people that rescued her. And I thank God for the people that made sure he knew he wasn't welcome. So you do what you can. I say, trust your instinct, trust your heart, do what you feel needs to be done. Where can I find you, Kiki? Ugh, male being male, sorry. Um, so I have my little tiny notebook that I bought for YouTubing to keep in my purse at all times, so I always have something to write on. And I was doing my walk yesterday, and I kept having to pull out my tiny notebook to write stuff down because I was watching the latest J-Rod from yesterday. J-Rod on point. Dude, I'm a huge fan. Thank you. So he took a clip basically of a Zav Girl episode. And so he's not critiquing it, he's just playing it. And I'm sure that he would have her blessing to do that because of his approach. I mean, I would think. I could be incorrect, but Zav's pretty cool. And when you're putting this content out there in the public arena, it's out there in the public arena. So, if somebody like steals your whole show and tries to put it on their channel and they make money off of it, you're due that money, right? But it's not about money, and it's really about integrity and authenticity, in my opinion. So J-Rod was being very authentic with saying, hey, I'm J-Rod. I'm going to play you this tape. And it was about 30 minutes of a Zav episode that I had watched, I think live when it happened. And Ryan Upchurch was on it, and SF Investigates was on it. And Mom of Four was on it. and also Michelle Sutton and another female. And I don't, I think Michelle Sutton spoke a tiny bit, and I'm not sure the other female spoke in the clip that J Rod was playing. But I was just like, man, J Rod, you picked the right clip to play. I just want to read you some of the notes that I took, and it's a lot. Some good stuff in here. So, Sammy and the Catfish crew were very focused on trying to paint a picture of a very dangerous party with a lot of scary strangers. So, they weren't saying, like, oh my God, where's our friend and what happened? And we're so scared and we feel so bad because, we should have done better. What's going on? How can we find her? How can we help her? Let's find Kylie. That's not what they were saying, right? They were saying, oh my God, the party was so scary. So I just like bolted and said, yeah, good luck. Bye. Love ya. So, their primary job was to paint a picture of a very, very, very dangerous party, like Silence of the Lambs dangerous. Wait, no, Lord of the Flies dangerous. And so I'm thinking as I'm walking how hilarious it would have been if they would have said, yeah, man, it was like The Exorcist out because that's kind of what they did to themselves. They shot themselves in the foot when they said that it was like uh the one that they said, which was it, The Lord of the Flies, right? I haven't seen that movie, so it often escapes me. But like, what if they had said, man, the party was so scary, it was like Pulp Fiction. You see where I'm going with this? I wrote down a whole bunch of them. Man, it was so scary. It was like Fatal Attraction. Really? What about it was like Fatal Attraction? It was like the Helter Skelter movie. Wait, no, it was about Lord of the Flies. It was like Lord of the Flies. But let's go with, my God, that was a scary party. It felt like Amityville Horror. I'm just thinking of all the scary movies I can. Here's one that's real fitting. Man, it was scary out there at our graduation party. It was like the Blair Witch Project. You guys remember that one from the 90s? A couple others I'll toss in here. Man, that was a scary party. It was like Gone Girl. Or even, this might be harder for people to wrap their minds around, but man, the party was really scary. I was scared. It was like Rocky Horror Picture Show out there. Okay. But Sammy's not the only one who said Lord of the Flies. Kate Cabacuna, no, I'm crossing my wires. Kate Cuneo. I believe she was the other one who said Lord of the Flies. There were definitely two people that said it. And I only saw Sammy say it on tape one time, and I saw somebody else say it on tape one time, and I'm pretty sure it was Kate, but I'm looking for that clip if anybody knows where to find it. So the other clip that I'm looking for, so help me out on this, please, people, we can do this, is the videotape of the Fox News crew following Jagger Westfall and Kate Cuneo to Reno to look for Kylie out at their inspiration point where they would go to make out. And then they had the interview with them in the parking lot. But on that videotape, when the Fox News crew is following them, I'm pretty sure there was a part where they were driving right behind them and it would have their license plate. And I want that freaking license plate. And was that a light blue minivan? Because when they got to the parking lot where they had the interview of the two of them standing next to each other, looking like those cats who ate the canary with their heads bowed and their arms crossed, covering their groins, which is a very defensive posture, much like this, right? When somebody's talking to you and they're like this, you know that there's an issue, right? So when they're like this and they're covering the most vulnerable parts of their body, their body language says a lot. And they barely looked up, barely, barely, barely. And they both were not scared. They were not concerned. They were like, yeah, it's cool. We'll find her. She's good. She's safe. We know it's all good. And they both said inebriated. You know who else said inebriated on that half hour that J Rod played yesterday on his video, was the private eye. the Catfish crew private eye. We'll just call him like King Catfish. So he's the one controlling the narrative, which I don't know how he gets that ability because, in my opinion, he's like the algae on the car, basically. And it felt like Heather's. That was the first thing I thought about when this whole thing started, right from the get go. It definitely felt like Heather's. Um, and then, like a Lifetime movie, I'm not sure exists about Skylar Niece. Um, Living Lake Time, I bet has it. I've been looking and I haven't been able to find it. So what I did want to say, and CNY has so many good ideas, and I haven't been able to catch up with everything she's created over the weekend, but she might even have it in there. I think she was the one who pointed out that when they're getting ready to talk to that camera crew, it looks like they're coming out of a light blue minivan. And in case you missed it, the light blue minivan is important because that is what um, is said to have been caught by the surveillance camera at the Reno gated community, a light blue minivan with an identified Jagger in it and an identified Kylie in it, allegedly. Okay. And that was way after the day she went missing. I don't remember which day exactly. It might have been around the 10th or the 12th. So if you guys remember, go ahead and put it up here. I was looking at King Catfish's photography, and it is very provocative. He shoots for Teen Vogue, Elle, Playboy, with very creepy. He's involved in this case. Yeah, Kiki Ray, you're right on the money there. Highly unlikely says odd words through the narrative makes me think of a briefing. Right, right. And that mom of four, I hate that she calls herself that because I'm a mom of four. And yeah, you deserve some street cred when you're a mom of four because man, you've been through it, right? Um, but she seems like a plant to me, and she's just like saying the stupidest crap. And you know, how does she think she knows these things? I think she's part of the Catfish crew, straight up. So that's my opinion. Um, so that photograph of Laurel that could be a weekend at Bernie's kind of deal. Um, one of the things that these kids try to do, and any criminal tries to do, if they're trying to make a homicide look like a suicide or an accident, is they will try to paint a picture that all this is normal, that this is how the routine is all the time, and this time it just went south for whatever reason. So, they tried to make it sound like it was routine for Kylie to be a wild maniac, partying and driving, and sleeping in the back of her car with that flannel shirt photograph with sleepy or sleeping. Why would you even write on it sleepy or sleeping? Like, just so that we know she's not dead? Because, yeah, you'd look at that photograph and think, well, that person must be asleep. Although some people might have had the same thought that I had the first time I saw it, which was questioning if she had already been injured or expired. And I think a lot of people had that instinctual reaction with the Laurel and the sleeping. So, straight up, Carolina says, I'm a mom of four too. Yes, fist bump for mom of four. Although I think having one is really the hardest number. Mom of one, but it felt like four. I really think one is the hardest number. It was for me. I had my first kid when I was 34. I'd been trying for a long time. I was dying to be a mom. I was so grateful. But dealing with just one, it's like when you have more, they kind of have each other. Like I would call it the welcoming committee, like their own little tribe. I'm missing so many great comments here, but I am going to go back and read them. So that's what I do. I want you guys to know that all your comments in the chat, I'm so sorry that I can't catch them all. If I'm catching them all, then I'm not reading my stuff or looking at my notes, which is fine too. But I just have so much I'm dying to put out. Like I almost made another video last night. I just was too busy. And I was like, you know what? I've got a lot of content for the morning. We're already at 45 minutes and I feel like I've barely started. So I'm going to try to wrap this one up in the near future. Let's see. That freaking Duper's delight. God, the gloating. Oh my God, the gloating. What I am talking about specifically is when SS was being interviewed by the newscaster at um, kind of ground zero, the central part of the search crew, when they had that mobile home kind of RV. They had the big poster of Kylie on the outside. So allegedly, some of Kylie's family was staying in that RV during this whole search, right? Um, and uh, when she said to the newscaster, she could not help but gloat when she said it was scary, because she knew kind of the power that she had and um, the clout, the social cash that she had in saying those words. First of all, she knows she's a good actress because she's been in a lot of things. And she was trying to say it was scary by saying Lord of the Flies and saying there were all these older men and there were all these drugs that we're not used to, like not our normal drugs, but other scarier drugs. Um, and she finally just said it was scary. And she kind of did a like, screw you, I got this, go away from me. It was gloating and Duper's delight off the chain. I know you guys have seen it. I know you guys have noticed it. But I believe, if I'm remembering accurately, and I'm not sure that I am, that might have been close to the same time that Kate said it was like Lord of the Flies, that Kate might have been standing next to her off camera when she said that. I'm pretty sure Mags was standing next to her on camera when she said that. But I really want to find that part where Kate Cunio said it was like Lord of the Flies, because it tells me a couple of things. It tells me that they had planned to say that together. They said, hey, let's tell them it was like Lord of the Flies. Like, why would they both come up with that same movie unless it was like Lord of the Flies, right? And really the whole vibe was not, oh my God, I'm so scared. What happened to my friend? I feel horrible. I shouldn't have left her there. Holy shit, we got to find her. This is horrible. Check Kate's eyes. Are they black? She couldn't open her eyes. Whoa. Thank you for saying that, because in the Weekend at Bernie's photograph of Laurel, to me, it looks like her left eye is swollen, much more so than the other side. And it also looks like it could be darkened underneath. I've never seen that photo. Oh, are you talking about the Weekend at Bernie's type of photo? It's the one it's got three girls sitting in the back seat of a car with a light on, and they're extremely pretty. Two brunettes, one right in the front, one next to this blonde girl that looks propped up by those two girls whose eyes are closed. And she looks pretty too, but she's not smiling, so she doesn't look as pretty as the two with the giant smiles. And then there's two more girls, I think, like up by the roof of the car, but I believe that that's a second photograph, that it's like that real-time thing where your camera takes a front photo and a back photo. And so that might be the girls that were taking the photo. And we don't know if that was actually from the party or not. So I'm not sure if that's the photograph that you're talking about. Okay, but it's in a lot of people's videos. And I think it was the cartel that did it real recently. I want to say one of his very last videos, he mentions it. I think I was just he made one last night or this morning where he mentions it. So it would be in his material if you're not familiar with an All American Cartel LLC presents. So some of these smaller channels that are big risk takers, in my opinion, like Cartel, like J-Rod, like Speaks Van Holding 24/7, etc. That's his name, like Lake Time Living or Living Lake Time, and a few others that are huge risk takers. And I mean, really, I think all of the content creators are risk takers. If you're speaking the truth, you're taking a risk. Wu Wan is a doctor. No, no, no. Sheriff Wu is the coroner, the sheriff, and the public administrator. That's how they roll there. So the medical examiner is the doctor, but they have to answer to the coroner. So the other sheriff, Shannon Moon, is also the sheriff, the coroner, and the public administrator for their areas. So let's see my little pages here. Look, I've only got through a couple of them, and I think I have four more. And I want to put all of this in one video, so this one's going to be a little bit longer. Okay, so the 55 feet, 55 feet is how far the car was from where the water touches the shore. 55 feet. Think about a 50-yard dash, right? That's a really short distance, and we're talking about a third of that, 55 feet. It's very similar to the length of a volleyball court. I believe a volleyball court, I haven't looked it up and Googled it to double check and make sure I'm accurate, but I believe that each side of the volleyball court is 30 feet long. And so together, the whole court from one service line to the other service line is 60 feet. And so if it was 55 feet out, it was less than a volleyball court. I mean, a 50-yard dash is a small distance, right? People that do sprints. So let me be real specific. I mentioned the half dozen nicks, I think, in one of my very last videos, and then I corrected it. I think it was yesterday in the comments. It was half a dozen Nates, right? We've all known that there's allegedly at least half a dozen Nates at this alleged party. That honestly, I'm just going to say straight up, I don't think there was a party that night. I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist if you will. No, I think that the whole thing is just a crock. It's just a cover. Anyway, there were two Nicks in this story. Nick Wren, who was the diver for AWP, and the other Nick, whose last name I don't want to share because I'm sure he's gotten so much heat, the one who may or may not be a private eye, in addition to being the roadside assistance guy. So you got the two Nates, no, two Nicks, I always do that, and the six Nates. So Nick, the roadside assistance guy, was shown a photograph of Jagger after he spoke with AWP the night that they got into town, that Friday night when they spoke in was it a Home Depot parking lot? No, it was a Best Buy parking lot. So after they spoke and did that interview on film, allegedly, according to the King Catfish, Nick was shown a photograph of Jagger, and he said, yes, that's the guy that was there when I came to that roadside assistance call. So the King Catfish is trying to say that Nick is either a liar or that he is confused, right? I think if it was either of those things, it would have been clarified by now. And at this late date, if they try to say that Nick, the roadside assistance guy, was confused or lying, that's not even going to fly for me personally. I'm just going to be like, no, 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 no. You would have said that a long time ago if that were the fact, because they have the videotape of him getting out of his car and helping these people. It's not only a dash cam, it has volume. It has volume. So everything they said and exactly who these two people are, even the surveillance camera on their roadside assistance guy's vehicle has artificial intelligence that can ID faces. So even if they don't have the name, they know who it is. Um, so, because people sometimes lie about their names, right? So some things that King Catfish was saying in that 30-minute interview that J-Rod put in his most recent video that I've seen was very misinforming intentionally. He said that Kylie was drinking and drunk, which again, how would he freaking know that? But we know from the blood alcohol ethanol content in her system that 0.088 is from decomposition. Shanann Watts had like 0.1 something. Again, hers was from decomposition. They tried to say, the haters tried to say, oh, she was drinking and hurting that baby in her belly. No, she wasn't. She was murdered and then decomposing, and the ethanol builds up. So one of the things King Catfish said is that there were 45 FBI federal agents out there, and they were from 3 different agencies. Oh, and he was staying in the same hotel, and they were all chummy with him, and everybody had his number, and he was the go-to. He was the first one to get every piece of information out there. He said that they processed it as a crime scene, and Check It called him when Check It found the laptop and tried calling the police, but he couldn't get anywhere in their phone tree. And he did not call 911 to say, I found something out here, come get it. He tried calling the back line, and who knows if he even had the right number, because when you're calling a back line on a weekend, if you get to the general number, you're not going to get to the back line of the dispatch that they'll pick up. You'll get to a phone tree. So if you know which extension to hit, or if you know the direct line to your dispatcher, then you can make a non-emergency call. But if you can't reach that number, if you can't reach a person, then just dial 911 and say, sorry to call you like it's an emergency. It's not really an emergency, but it's important, right? No, none of that happened. And so in this interview, Upchurch tries to say, wait, hold up. How do you have your phone number? How do you call you? How are these people calling you? Fill me in here. Enlighten me. And let's see, a few more things here. We're getting close to an hour already. But I've covered a lot of this. So King Catfish tries to really slam AWP hard in that interview. And he's straight up lying, in my opinion. He's saying that AWP called some distant relative, not even a blood relative of the family, somebody named Lori, Laurie, and they told them, and then they put it on Facebook, and then the family found out, and the law enforcement found out from Facebook, because AWP is just so rude and so unprofessional, and they're all about the social media. And then they changed their Lori to a different Lori, Lori. Okay, so I think there are 2 Loris, and I think that the Lori that they called was Kylie's biological father's sister, and that I think that they were given her as their contact person, that she was taking on the responsibility to take the call in the event that something pertinent was going on, that they could make their one phone call, and then that person could call all of the family. So they could call their one family contact, and then they could call their one law enforcement contact. That's how they roll. They call family first, which I think is pretty cool, as long as they're doing it lickety split, just to make sure that the family doesn't find out in some obscure way. So, just trying to skew that whole thing. When King Catfish was in the company of the biological dad and grandpa, and he got a text and he told them. So that was kind of obscure. They didn't get it from Lori. They got it from him. They got it from long arms with tattoos going all the way down them like Sasquatch. Sorry, not sorry. I like tattoos. And I like arms too, but I don't like gaslighters. I do not like gaslighters, and I do not like sleazeballs. So, in that phone call, when AWP called their contact person, she was Lori, Laurie, was in the company of other family members, one of which was Kylie's grandmother. I'm not sure if that was um, the dad's mom or the mom's mom, but she got on the phone right away. And so that was all in the members only video that they put out, that they took 2 minutes out of when they made it public. And the other part that they took out of that a lot of people are not aware of, so if you're not aware of it, be aware of it, that Nick, the roadside assistance guy, says that when he got to the call, this young woman introduced herself to him as Kylie. Those are pretty much his words. So she said she was Kylie. We don't know if that's accurate or not, but just the lying about basically saying that AWP just called some random person that barely knows the family, told them, and then plastered it all over Facebook that Kylie was found. Total nonsense. Total freaking nonsense. So you guys have maybe heard me mention Martin Decoder a couple of times. He's a linguistic analyst. I think he's British, and he rocks. He just breaks down the speech patterns and to know when somebody's being real with you or when somebody's talking smack. So I would love to have Martin Decoder break down these different people's interviews and speech, especially the Catfish crew, especially on some of these videos. So King Catfish, what he did on that day of that interview on Zav Girl, that is J Rod's most recent, maybe not his most recent, he might have done one since then. It was yesterday's most recent. What was I going to say about that? Brain going all directions. What King Catfish, his thing that he did that day was he did like the circuit of a whole bunch of panels. And then that one with Zav Girl that I said I had the good fortune of watching live that night. I think he was on from like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. ish. And then he got off real quick when Ryan Upchurch was asking him about, like, how do these people know you? How do they have your number? I don't think it was that question. I think it was another question right after, but he was clearly annoyed and he was clearly trying to tell Upchurch to screw himself. He was like, huh? I'm not even listening to you. What are you saying? Okay, I gotta go. And then he immediately got on to like his Twitch account or something and started slamming Zav, calling her the B word. And she was so polite to him. And he was all polite to her too. And when he was on her show, but the second he got off, he was dissing her. Like that kind of two-faced, backstabbing, cutthroat crap is such freaking crap. Holly Ostrich, I'm not sure what that is about. When they can't attack your message, they attack your character. Yep, thank you, ADK Lassie. You are on it. With one perfume bottle in the front of the car, I thought maybe to cover the smell of something, like a body or alcohol. I don't know. It was sus, though. Oh, Tammy Lynn, I just don't even want to get into it because, yeah, he said that was weird. He said that there were perfume bottles, plural, in the car, and that there was one in the console, and that he noticed this. And I mentioned this in one of my first videos, and I can't tell you how many people got on there and said, that's totally normal. Everybody I know carries perfume in their car. Okay, calm down. First thing a police officer is going to think when they pull you over and they see perfume in your cars, they're going to think you're trying to cover the smell of alcohol or drugs. So if you do carry your perfume around with you in your car, and I believe, sure, a lot of people might do that, especially if they're using drugs and alcohol, but especially if they just like their perfume, hide it. Don't leave it where they can see it, because they are going to suspect you of being high and drunk if they see your freaking perfume bottle. Also, keep it out of the sun because it's going to get ruined in your car in the sun. So I don't care if people carry their perfume bottles or not. Like all these people got on my thing and were just like, "Oh, you're so stupid." Everybody that's hip and cool, even guys carry perfume in their car. Okay. I don't care if I'm stupid. I don't care if I'm not hip, but I know for a fact that every freaking law officer that pulls anybody over, that is a huge red flag. They're going to be like, get out of the car. You're doing a freaking, you know, inebriation test right now. Breathe into this. So hide it. If you do it, if you have it in your car, if that's your thing, freaking hide it. I don't know why I'm trying to give you a hot tip when nah, you don't deserve it. Anyway, it's just funny to me because it seemed like it was this little army of trolls that was trying to discount a pertinent issue. And this is a tow truck driver, roadside assistance guy. They seen it all. You know, they deal with all kinds of cray and they deal with all kinds of drugs and alcohol and criminals and it's a dangerous job. They are packing heat. They've always been packing heat, just like taxi cab drivers. And, now they've got more technology to help them stay safe too. But they know stuff. They've been around. They're working all night. That's the best time for their business. Well, I never knew about perfume bottle. Who thinks of this weird stuff? So right, it's in the AWP video, and I don't think it was cut out of the one that was for the public. There were only 2 minutes cut out. The phone call with the family, totally cut out, all of it. And the part about Kylie, or the young woman introducing herself to Nick, roadside assistance guy, as Kylie. So they explained that they cut out the part with the family because the family requested it and they were happy to honor that request, even though they felt like it was pertinent, important information. And yeah, it turns out that it is, because that was kind of like a chess move. They were trying to take that out to say that they didn't call the family first. Grr. Nice guys always finish last. No good deed goes unpunished. Caroline Ciano says, I was actually referring to Martin Decoder. I love that guy. I just think he's freaking brilliant. If you guys haven't seen him yet, check him out. Check him out. I'm going to try to wrap this one up because it's already at an hour and 7 minutes. So I'll read a few of your comments here. And yeah, that perfume bottle I think is real key. And I think that the army of trolls was sent out to attack the messenger over that, which was silly. Nick noticed a perfume bottle and he thought it was odd. And it wasn't the only one. It was the only one in the console. He said he saw bottles of perfume, one in the console. Okay, I was actually referring to Martin Decoder. I love that guy. I just think he's brilliant. Well, I bought some car spray from the gas station while my son, who is Ellie, asked me why I had blunt spray. I love it. Just thought of it was air freshener. Right. And yeah, cars stink. And, there's always like the little trees that you have hanging from your car, or Yankee Candle, or Bath and Body Works. They all sell really nice car fragrance things. I mean, they'll start smelling like shoes or wet dog or whatever. I mean, yeah, you want your car to smell nice, just like you want your house to smell nice. So there's nothing wrong with anybody carrying perfume in their car. It's just that the cops are gonna think like this woman's kid. I'm assuming that you're a woman. You might not be. PJ Barker, that her son, who's law enforcement, said, "Hey, why you got blunt spray?" I think it's hilarious. So just know that if you've got, even if you're not trying to hide something, if you've got something like that and you get pulled over for a taillight or what have you, they're going to suspect you. So you might want to throw it in the glove box, but maybe not, because they see you doing that. They might think you're grabbing a gun. Who knows? Just, the best thing you can do when you're pulled over is be polite and cooperative. Those two things will get you off the hook almost every time. Be respectful. You lie to them, they know you're lying to them. It doesn't matter how small it is. Blunt spray, I'm dead. Marco DM, no good deed goes unpunished. You beat me to it, Justice. Yeah, and the whole like kill the messenger. I mean, the good deeds that Adventures with Purpose did, the good deed that Nick, the roadside assistance guy, did, the good deed that Upchurch did, the good deeds that Zav does. I mean, I can't imagine all the hate that some of these really big creators, like say Christina Randall or Paula Plunder, I can't imagine the BS that they have to deal with. But when you believe in what you're doing, you just say, whatever goes with the territory, just stay focused. Don't worry about it. Oh, and the mints, right. If they had been drinking, wouldn't be smelling it, right? And that's obviously why a lot of people are going to have mints and sprays just to cover that. I keep some for smoke and smell when I take breaks at work. Right. And sometimes it's just because you don't want to smell like cigarettes. You'd rather smell like a nice bottle of perfume or something. Mallory, how would it be in the console if it's flipped over? Oh, Mallory, this is roadside assistance Nick, who says that he went to a vehicle matching Kylie's vehicle with her license plate, with a female that matched her and a male that matches Jagger, on Saturday morning, the morning after the alleged party. So basically, they're saying that the car wasn't in the water at that point in time. And so people that are trying to say, oh, no, the car was in the water the whole 2 weeks that all those idiots were out there searching for it and couldn't find it. Oh, Huda London, please check Kate's black eyes. Huda, you're the one, I think, that I was talking about, that you covered 15 minutes of my show. So I didn't really know if you were being complimentary or insulting or whatever, but I like seeing you here. So thank you. Thank you for covering part of my show, because that gives me more publicity. And yeah, we both have that mental health, true crime kind of angle. She has a huge cut near her eye and a huge bump on her forehead. Oh my goodness, I have not noticed that, Huda London. So cool to see you. Nice to meet you. I think we could be friends. You never know. Highly unlikely. Nick, the AAA man, said in center console, not Nick the diver. Right. Thank you, highly unlikely, to answer that question to Mallory. Right. So yeah, those are the two Nicks. And going back to the Chris Watts case, you had like a half a dozen Nicks, and then you had one Nate. So this case is funny that it has half a dozen Nates and two Nicks. I mean, and it's easy. Those names are easy to get confused because they both start with the N. They both have 4 letters. Sex wax is an air freshener like the one on Kylie's phone case, as described by Sammy. And sex wax is a surfboard thing. You have to put wax on your surfboard so you don't slip off when you're surfing. And yeah, I think it's like Dr. Zog sex wax or something like that, because that stuff's been around for 40 years or more. But yeah, it's just funny that it's called sex wax. And so I guess all the teenagers think that's cool. Mallory says, oh, so yep, 2 Nates. Nope, 2 Nicks. 6 Nates. Okay, I'm gonna stay focused. Caroline Ciano said every mom ever. I'm not sure what she's referring to, but I'm sure it's cute. And John, they need to be tied to the whipping post. Yeah. Law enforcement, crooked law enforcement, ruin it for everybody. They ruin it for the honest law enforcement. They ruin it for the public. We, the people, need to be able to trust our law enforcement, because we need to have law enforcement. We're in a country where guns have been legal for a long time. You're never going to get that genie back into the bottle. You must have law enforcement, and they must be trusted and trustworthy and credible and have integrity and not be power trippers and not be abusing their power. Okay, here I am on that damn soapbox I try to stay off of. Beast move justice. I'm not sure what that is. Thank you, Justice, for Kylie Rodney. Oh, you make me want to cry because, yeah, this is all about Kylie. This is all about Kylie. I'm going to wrap up here because we're at an hour 15. Thank you. Squirrel Girl was killing it last night. I need to keep up with Squirrel Girl. I know she does a lot of good stuff. For anyone who is active on LinkedIn, you may be able to find out so valuable information on her. If you find it, please share. It would be Samantha Smith, UC Irvine, or UCI. Sex wax is definitely also an air freshener. Oh, that's good to know. I had no idea. I just know it as that surfboard wax. And Marco, just a minor confirmation. The Ham family. Yep, I know. I alluded to knowing casually. Confirm they told their offspring to get out of the party at all costs, and the family will make sure he's okay. Okay, and that is your number one, Nate Hambrick, who had allegedly dated Sammy prior to allegedly dating Kylie for roughly a couple of months before the party, and then she may have dumped him allegedly, but they may have been hooking up that night allegedly. And the Hambrick family is like the most powerful family in the universe, allegedly, it sounds like. And they also live up on Donner's Pass. So yeah, I knew when you said Ham family, I think in the chat yesterday, Marco, I knew exactly who you were talking about, but other folks might not. So Bob Hambrick, Robert Hambrick is like on every board of everything. They're financially extremely well connected. And one of not very many homes up there on Donner Pass where the Lost Trail Lodge is. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. Thank you so much. I'm probably going to have to do another one later, let's say one-ish, maybe a little bit before that. Anyway, peace out. Drink your water, eat your protein, fruits and veggies, get your exercise, stretch, do yoga, walk, anything. We all know how important it is to move around and get fresh air, sunshine, and feel comfortable and safe and not allow people to be jerks, and kind of keep a protective bubble around you and don't be a jerk to anybody, because my theory, I think a lot of people have this theory, is that you just never know what somebody's going through. So even if you think somebody's coming at you, their cat might have died yesterday, they could be suicidal. If you're rude to them, that might be the final straw that pushes them over the edge. You don't want to take that chance. But even if none of that's the case, it's just nice to be nice. It makes you feel good, it makes other people feel good. It spreads like wildfire. So, Jazz, maybe we could take another look at that SO guy who has petitions from high school students going on. Oh, what? Oh, sex offender. Okay, thank you. Right, Cole somebody that is also friends with SS. So thank you guys. You're the best. I will see you in a little bit, and just be you. That's all we can do, right? Take care. Have a great Monday. Be productive.